Rojbaş Berezan. Hoşhalem. خوشحالم که امروز لعام دیدار لشکر سلیمانی آمدم. به هوای سرکارتینی دیدارم دوای سلامتی با جنابی طالبانی دکم. I hope pronunciations were right.
Indeed.
In fact, we don't need translation because these are from my heart to your hearts, not from my tongue to your ears. My dear friend, old friend, Berham Salih, of course, Vice President Kusrat Rasul, Mr. Prime Minister, my dear colleague, friend, and again, old friend, Nechirvan Barzan, of my always colleague, Brother Khoshar Zabari, all of my friends, Minister Ali Edip, and all the others. This time in English, good morning. It is a great pleasure for me to be here today in Süleymaniye. We say in Turkish in Süleymaniye, Süleymani. That was my dream, my plan for many years. And I remember President Talabani several times invited me to visit Süleymaniye. Unfortunately, I didn't have opportunity. When I received invitation from Brother Berham Salih and Brother Khoshar Zabari, this time I promised myself, and I am committed that I will not miss this great opportunity. Again, like Brother Berham, I wish President Talabani be here with us and greet him, visit him at his home, and we all pray for his health. He is one of the wise men of our region and contributed not only to Kurdistan, to Iraq, to the region, but to the world humanity because of his courageous struggle throughout the decades against the dictatorial regime of Saddam. Let me start this. The title was Navigating Middle East. This is a right term. Navigation, when we look at, for example, Google Earth, I like about the method of how to approach the issues, political issues. When you come to Google Earth, first you see all the world. Then you go to the details in a few seconds. This is the blessing of the technology. Therefore, sometimes when we talk on crisis, local crisis, we forget the general flow of the history of humanity. Sometimes we make very deep analysis of the general flow of the history, ignoring the detailed issues at local level. What we need to do is how to connect the general flow of the history with the existing situation where we are living in our cities, in our countries, in our regions. When I look at the history, now whenever I escape from diplomacy, I am trying to write another book on history. I think if we categorize the history, three big categories, sequence are important. Traditional orders, modernity, and globality. Traditional orders had their own logic. From Alexandrian state, Roman Empire, Abbasids in our region, Umayyads, Abbasids, Ottomans, Safavids, all of them, they had a logic of statehood and cultural inclusivity. Silk Road, economic mentality was based on different parameters. Second era was modernity. We faced first era as our region in 1798 when Napoleon has arrived to Egypt after French. Modernity became a fact of this land. But the traditional factors continued to survive and still surviving. Modernity in the sense of more homogeneous political beings as citizens, more nationalistic homogeneity in culture, and national economies tried to be sustainable national economies. That was the modern mentality. But the global mentality is different. Now, in many societies, including Ukraine, not only in our region, I was in Ukraine 2 days ago, and last week I was in Bosnia when there were demonstrations. And before that, one day before Bosnia, I was in Tunisia where Arab Spring started. In the last 10 days, I visited several countries from different regions, North Africa, Balkans, and Eurasia. Now I am in Iraq. So in Middle East, we have some similarities of challenges. We have to understand this. I am speaking here not as Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey, but assuming that I am a Ukrainian or a Bosnian or a Tunisian or an Iraqi, we are facing similar challenges of transition from modernity to globality. And those leaders, those intellectuals who understand these transitions from tradition to modernity, from modernity to globality, they can navigate how history is flowing, and they can find some right answers to certain challenges. But those who are missing this and committing themselves only to traditional structures on the ground, like tribal identity, ethnic identity, sectarian identity, missing modernity, or those who are committed to modernity but missing globality, they do not understand the flow of history. Tradition is still there, especially in the Middle East. Nothing could be understood without referring to traditional orders. None of our societies are newly invented societies. None of our religious ethnic communities are newly invented identities. None of our states are new emerging states. We had long memories, deep memories. But sometimes this memorial depth, let me say, is an asset to create a vision. Sometimes it is a barrier, and it is a reason of conflict and tension. We have to understand why we need to know tradition. Similarly, modernity and nationalistic ideologies based on modernity is a great asset if it creates inclusive politics based on citizenship, but it might be a huge barrier when you are having an autocratic understanding of state like Ba'athist ideology or autocratic regimes, which was historically parallel to flow of history in 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, when there was a rise of these ideologies, but now missing the history. Therefore, Ba'athist leader like Assad didn't understand the needs of ordinary Syrian, or some other autocratic leaders still, they are resisting not to understand. We have to follow, when we come to Arab Spring, Brother Berham, here we have to see first mentality of modernity came in 19th century after Napoleon's invasion to Egypt. There was a modernization everywhere, in Baghdad, in Istanbul, in Cairo, everywhere, in Morocco. A new intellectual emerged, a new prototype emerged. New structures came in, parallel to the traditional structures. After First World War, that was not only the end of Ottoman state, but the end of all traditional empires in Europe as well. And Sykes-Picot created new territories in our border, in our region, new territories. Was that natural territories? Now, 100 years past, all of us, we know that these were not natural borders, not natural territories. Diyarbakir was not far away from Erbil or Mosul, or Deir ez-Zor was not far away from Baghdad, but there were new entities. We have to, similarly in North Africa. After Second World War, this colonial division became nation states, and there was a need of nation-state ideology. Therefore, Iraqi leadership went back to Babylonians, or Egyptian leadership went to Pharaohs, Turkish leadership went to Sumers or Hittites in Anatolia, in order to create a new identity. Arab Spring was, for us, when it happened in 2011 in December, Turkey has been supporting aspirations of Arab masses everywhere in a consistent way. We supported Tunisian revolution, we supported the Tahrir revolution, we supported Yemenis and others. Why? Because we see that this transformation is a natural transformation from modernity to transition to globality in a modern form, rejecting modernity, without rejecting modernity. And we thought and we believed that Like Eastern European countries or societies in Balkans, in Central and East Europe, Poland, Czech Republic, Romania, they had this transition in 1990s from socialist ideology, a purely modern ideology, to a new democratic society in a global form under EU. This is a necessity. It is not a choice. Unfortunately, in our region, 20 years delayed. Therefore, in a conference in 2012 February, in early months of Arab Spring, I said, the title was, "Has the future arrived?" I said, not only arrived, it has delayed. We have to respect every individual being in our societies. We should not be creating totalistic, nationalistic ideologies just to protect the state. Those states who do not respect individual demands of citizens that cannot survive. Therefore, in 2002, when we met Brother Berham in Ankara, we declared the first principle of new foreign policy, and I especially refer to balance between security and freedom. Those states who ignore security, freedom for security, they are creating autocratic regimes. Those states who ignore security, sacrifice security for freedom, then chaotic states come, failures of states. The highest value, the highest level of a political legitimacy is when a state says to its citizens that I will provide you ultimate freedom without risking your security, and ultimate security without limiting your freedom. Those states who can provide this can be legitimate. But if somebody says, you must sacrifice your freedom because for the survival of the state, that politics cannot be sustainable. And if you ignore security, you just refer to freedom, that country cannot be safe. Now, in last 3 years, what happened after Arab Spring? 3 years is like a second in history, 3 minutes in history. We have to be patient, and we have to understand how things will evolve. But 2011 was the year of revolutions in many countries. 2012 was the year of, is that zero for me? Right. No. Is that a message or?
No, sir.
Okay, so, so 2000, yes, zero problems, maybe she wants to remind me. I will come to that concept, don't worry, I will not miss it. So, 2012, revolutions always bring new emotions, dynamism, high demands, aspirations. I met with youth people, leaders of youth of Tahrir in 2011 in March, in February, in Cairo. I remember how they were so enthusiastic, like the French revolutionaries in Paris, like other revolutionaries in other places. And they were full of self-confidence for their country, Egypt, dignity, new demands. And as a student leader in 1970s, I like that psychology, like Bernard, my dear colleague, we always like this type of dynamic movements, our generation, because we are not men of status quo. We need to make reforms. We need to change history. It is in our destiny. But 2012 was a successful year of transitional elections in Egypt, in Tunisia, in Morocco, in Yemen, several elections. But unfortunately, 2013, in that sense, that transition slowed down and a pessimism started to emerge, especially after the military coup in Egypt. And of course, survival of Assad, despite of all of his crimes against humanity, using chemical weapons, Scud missiles, artillery shells and now barrel bombs against civilians. People start to question, where are we going? But I want to make an analogy. In 1989, I remember when Ceausescu was fallen in Romania, nobody was predicting what will be happening in the future. Again, there was a huge revolutionary wave and spirit in Eastern Europe, in every capital, in Warsaw, in Budapest, everywhere. But in 1992, after 3 years, Bosnian War erupted. For another 3 years, we had to deal with Bosnian War. Now, after the Berlin Wall, after 3 years, Bosnia War erupted. After Tahrir or Arab Spring, 3 years only passed. It may slow down. There will be many other autocratic tendencies to stop these new demands, global demands. And as citizens of modern society, based on strong tradition, I am using this concept purposefully, based on strong tradition of pride of this region, of our culture and civilization, based on equal citizenship of Egypt, of Syria, of Tunisia, everywhere, and with a global vision. That is what I saw in the eyes of youth in Arab Spring. They may face difficulties. There may be certain sectors who will try to keep status quo on autocratic regimes. But at the end of the day, as a, let me say, academician and professor, nobody can stop these new demands of this new generation. Instead of stopping them, we have to understand them. Instead of trying to slow down the process and creating certain conspiracies against this process, or conspirators against this, we have to understand what we need. Now, coming the challenges, 4 basic challenges in front of us in our region. The first challenge is, again, making navigation from human history to our region is psychological challenge. The sense of belonging. This is very important, sense of belonging. Where do you belong as an individual? Traditionally, we have different sense of belongings. Muslims, Christians, tribal identities, Turks, Arabs, Kurds, Iranians, different traditional belongings. But modern belonging, the sense of belonging in modernity is citizenship. Citizenship, citizenship. Those states who do not create a sense of citizenship, those states cannot survive. First and foremost, legal identity is citizenship. And all citizens must be equal in front of law, and there should not be any discrimination against any ethnic or sectarian group or against any individual being because of their identity, of their traditional belongings. And global belonging is beyond that. Today, my daughter, 14 years old, she can communicate with a Singaporean. She can create another club of belonging based on certain character. We cannot stop them. We have to open them. Here, freedom is very important. The challenge is sectarian ethnic confrontation based on traditional belongings, which are all respected. But the solution from our perspective is inclusive identities. Inclusive identities. For inclusive identity, what we need to do is respect traditional identities. Do not try to change them. Muslim is Muslim, Christian is Christian, Jew is Jew, all are respected. Turks, Kurds, Arabs, Iranians, all are respected. In Turkey, in 1980s, therefore I started in Kurdish, there was some sort of a suspicion that if there is a Kurdish propaganda in politics, if there is a Kurdish broadcasting, Turkish state will be divided. Therefore, I declared zero problems. I know in the history that even in the families there are differences of opinion. But for our generation in Turkey, like many generations in the Arab world today, We were taught in 1970s, 60s, because of Cold War logic, that everybody is enemy to us. We have to protect our nation, our country, because Russians are arch enemies, Greeks are today's enemies, Armenians are enemies, Bulgarians, we had Balkan War, Arabs betrayed us, Kurds are threat. If you have such a psychology, you cannot think, you cannot survive. In 2002, when we declared zero tolerance with our neighbors, we wanted to change the psychology of our nation, that nobody is threat to us, everybody is friend. This, without making such a revolutionary change in your psychology, you cannot establish a national unity. And in Turkey, we said there is no domestic threat, which was a reason for several coups d'etat in the past, and we said there is no external threat. I remember 2 years ago, in Council of Europe Parliamentary Assembly, an Armenian member of parliament asked me a question, criticizing us about certain issues, and referring to my zero problems principle. I told her, I said, in our new foreign policy, there are 2 categories of state. She was thinking that maybe enemy, friendly. I said, friends and potential friends. No third category. Friends of today and potential friends of tomorrow. We may have difference of opinion, but at the end of the day, we are living in the same region. We have to understand each other. So this sense of belonging, what I say is the solution is inclusive identity. In Iraq, same. For us, when we approach to Iraq, we don't see Arab, Kurd, Turkoman, Shiite, Sunni, Christian. All Iraqis, regardless of their ethnic and sectarian origin, they are our brothers and sisters. All Kurds, Arabs, or Bosniaks, Albanians, all of them living in Turkey, they are equal citizens. Nobody can exclude or discriminate against anyone. In 2006, when we started Kurdish broadcasting in TRT, I remember, even during our government, when there were several speculations that this will be harmful. Nothing happened. People are more happy, and I wish next year, maybe, if there are not many crises around, I can speak here in Kurdish. It is a dignity. And in one, I made a speech, I said, our Turkish, our Kurdish. No language is external. They are our legacy. And when Prime Minister Erdogan and President Mesut Barzani came to Diyarbakir, which was unimaginable 10 years ago when we met, or 2008 when we met with Brother Neshirvan in some places to manage certain crises, and they spoke in Kurdish in Diyarbakir. Diyarbakir is our city like Edirne or like Istanbul, and Kurdish origin Turkish citizens are same like Turkoman, Turk origin like my tribe, Turkoman tribe, are same. And we must give a sense of belonging to every citizen. This is a challenge. Today, in Syria, for example, that identity has been almost demolished by Assad, that this group is against this group or the other one. We hope in Turkey, in Iraq, in Syria, in Egypt, everywhere, we will respect traditional identities. We will establish strong citizenship identity, and we will try to create a new identity in the sense of globality, that our new generations will have access to all parts of the world without any barrier or without any prejudice to Latin America or others. Second challenge is governance. Governance. You may have inclusive political identity, but if there is no functioning state or political system efficiently, you cannot guarantee safety and security and freedom. I was in Europe, in Brussels, EU ministers of meeting, Foreign Relations Council, and I was there, and we were talking on Ukraine and Bosnia. I said, today, there are 3 types of political systems as governing. One is leaderships and political systems which have vision for their nations and decision-making ability. These countries are rising. Yes, despite of all the difficulties, even today, despite of the difficulties what we have today in Turkey. But in last 10 years, Turkish per capita income increased 4 times. Turkey is a rising power because we had a vision. Because there was a political stability based on decision-making process. And there are many other countries like this. Rising states, you can see the leadership has a vision and decision-making ability. Second category of governing state today is those states who do not have a comprehensive vision but decision-making ability. They are keeping the status quo. They are not rising, but they are not falling. But unfortunately, today, there are many states which do not have vision for the future and decision-making ability. I don't want to go into giving this date, like Syria, like today, Ukraine, we hope they will overcome this crisis. But with whom will you talk more for the future? Unfortunately, there are many states today, brotherly nations, like Lebanon, for last 1 year, there was even no government, a caretaker government. In Syria, there is no such a decision-making ability government running the country. Or in Libya, we are facing problems, inshallah, the day after tomorrow, in Rome, we will meet for the future of Libya. Or Yemen, etc. Now, what we need is, here, the problem is chaotic or failing state structures challenge. The solution is a visionary efficiency in governance. Visionary efficiency. No threat, no risks, but what is our asset? What do we have in our hand? How can we govern this country in such a democratic way? Here, democracy is important. Visionary efficiency means for the legitimacy, people are able to be influential on decision-making process, and the leaders are able to produce new vision for the country. Like Turkey now, we declare 2023 targets, vision. We may achieve or not, we will see. But at least there is a vision which we are motivating our people to go in that direction, that Turkey will be one of the 10 biggest economies in the world. But what happened with this vision, Turkey today is 7th biggest agricultural producer in the world, 6th biggest touristic power in the world, 6th biggest diplomatic power in the sense of the number of foreign missions. So you have to motivate people for a vision in order to, a common vision, not Turkish vision, Kurdish vision, Arab vision, but all citizens of Turkey, how can we motivate together? Same for Iraq, for other countries. Here, this visionary efficiency is so essential. Unfortunately, in Balkans, Eurasia, Caucasia, Central Asia, Middle East, North Africa, now there are many, unfortunately, failing states. I don't want to use the term failing state, but states who are not able to take decisions and implement properly throughout the country. Here, the participatory politics is important. Participatory politics of all groups in the country important. Third is economic challenges. Economic challenge, especially in our region, is income distribution. We are not a poor region. We are a rich region. But income distribution is a problem, and productivity is a problem. The solution is a distributive productivity, where we can share this economic wealth with the people. And in the region, economic rationality should be before everything. When we established high-level strategic cooperation council with Iraq, that was our objective, to make Turkey and Iraq economically more interdependent, more and more interdependent, so that these two, and we have these, and we hope that we can have the next session soon, that will strengthen peace as well. The best way of achieving peace is economic interdependency. There should be more economic interdependency in our region in order to achieve peace. Fourth is about diplomacy and international relations challenge. Now, in our region, there is and in the world, there is the basic threat is zero-sum game. Like in Ukraine today, who will win? That is like soccer match people are watching. Is Russia winning or West winning. If this zero-sum game is old logic of Cold War, we have to find ways how everybody wins. So nobody will be having a psychology of being defeated. In our region, same. Shiites or Sunnis, who will be winning? In this country or in that country? Kurds or Arabs or Turks or Iranians? Turkey or Iran, who will win? Who is competing? That culture is spoiling the atmosphere. If we are shoulder to shoulder, we will win together. If we are competing against each other, we will lose together. So here the challenge, what I am scared is, to be frank, especially in Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, and all the parts of the region, is sectarian confrontation. It is a big trap. We should not allow sectarian or ethnic confrontation to make us slave of a bad traditional background. The positive traditional background is, in our region, there is no single state which is unicultural, unisectarian, uniethnic. That is our tradition. Throughout the centuries, Baghdad, Damascus, Istanbul, Diyarbakir, Cairo, all of them were multicultural, multi-religious, multi-ethnic states. We have to keep them. We should not be declaring this city is Sunni, this city is Shiite, this city is Kurdish, Turkish. No, that multicultural existence is essential for our region. Solution is regional ownership. We are together part of this region, sharing this region. And here, as Turkey, what we observe is we have to respect territories. Territorial integrity of, which is a legacy of modernity, should be protected. If there is a plan or idea to change territory, that is a big risk for all of us. But what we need to do is, global mentality is making territories meaningless. Like in Europe. Everybody knows where is France, where is Germany, where is Poland. But when you drive, you do not realize that you are crossing from France to Germany. We want to see a Middle East that one day we will drive from Basra to Istanbul without any barrier, and from Istanbul to Basra without any barrier, or to Damascus. Such a vision of regional ownership to manage the crisis and to establish a vision for the future is the only solution. So what we need today in our region is respect our tradition, get the traditional legacy in positive way, not in a negative way of confrontation, respect modern state structures and territories, but don't make these territories as walls, like Chinese wall, and prepare our new generations for the future. At the end of the day, all these countries, all these lands belong to all of us. None of us has any priority, any right of domination, or anything which we have right to exclude others. And inclusive politics is what we needed. If one day if we have inclusive politics, I am sure Arab Spring will create a new. It will be not only Arab Spring, it will be spring for all of us. But if there is an exclusive policy, then we will have a winter for all of us. We hope that all Turks, Kurds, Arabs, Iranians, Sunnis, Shiites, Muslims, Christians, Jews, one day we will be living in a peaceful Middle East. Thank you very much.